Welcome back. I'm going to do design assemble tutorial number 2, manually adding joints. So this tutorial is about adding joints. It's more practice adding joints, but it's also about working with larger projects that consist of a lot of smaller designs assembled together. And those designs can even be worked on by different people. So it's about project management, file management, team design, version control a little bit, as well as joints. It's a pretty good lab. So if you're doing this lab, note that the very first page before the activities start, there's some stuff you got to do, right? This prerequisites thing, you got to do that. And I'm going to do that, but keep that in mind before you get into the actual straight activity. There's this stuff you got to do. So I'm gonna do that stuff for you. So got Fusion up. Okay, so open up the data panel where it says a new project up here, this blue button. Click that thing and type in a new project, manual joints. All right, and then go to basic training, assemblies, and what we're going to do is we're going to open up a bunch of smaller projects and then make copies of those and then assemble those all into another project. So let's see, base, double click that. We want clamp, double click that. We want connector, double click that. We want grip, lever, and shaft. So you should have 6 projects open in 6 different tabs, and they're all locked. They have a little lock up here, which means they're read only. So what we need to do is for each one of these, go project, save as, and select this manual joints project folder. I guess what you could call it, a folder, I suppose, and save. And then you can close that, and then do that with all 6 of these. So let's go save as, make sure it's in the manual joints folder, and save. Close it, and just keep going like that. Note that it makes it a copy basically, and it changes the version number and it gets rid of the lock. So this is a copy of these projects. Okay, you should have 6 projects, and if you go back up in the data manager and then double click your manual joints project, you should have 6 designs in there. Then make sure you have an untitled project open, and then go file, save as. My computer's being a little, oh no, you can just save. Yeah, I thought my computer was being slow, but it was fine. Manual joints. I'm not sure what to call this. I guess it's the manual joints design in the manual joints folder, I guess. So yeah, so now we have over here in our data manager, we have the 6 designs that we made copies of and saved them over here, and then we have another design called manual joints. So that's this manual joints design, that's the top level design. That's what I'm calling it. Okay, so we're just going to start assembling this by bringing projects into this top level project and assembling them together with joints. So the first thing is the base. So click the base project over in the data manager here, and then right click and say insert into current design. It brings it in like that. And if you want to take the time, you can do things like look at where the origin is and other things, but anyway, just accept that. Okay, then take this. The next thing is the lever. Right click that and select insert into current design. Now it'll drop the origins on top of each other, and which can be a problem. So you want to move this out of the way just by dragging it up and then click OK. And like I'm saying, this has you could turn the origin on. Oh, I guess you can't. Oh yeah, wait, you can't. I don't know why. Well, anyway, so we're going to put some joints on here. So go to Assemble, Joint, and for component 1, we're trying to select the snap. So you got to get in here. Hold on. Sorry about that. I had a little problem with my computer setup I had to fix. Anywho, so where are we? Assemble, Joint. So you might not be able to see, but right in the middle of it here is a little kind of a circular little symbol. That's the joint we want. Pick that. And we want to put that guy at this middle joint. There's a little arrow in there. If you hover over this interior surface and then hold down Control, then it'll let you select joints on, or joints that are associated with that inside surface. So okay, so you want to hover over the inside surface and then press Control, and then that'll let you mouse over to this joint in the middle of this cylinder and click that. It does that. Okay, so I did it wrong there because it did a little shake, which indicates that I did a rigid joint, which is not the right joint. I don't know how to change it other than to cancel out of this and start over. So we'll go Assemble, Joint, and then go up to this little disembodied drop down box, and we want a revolute joint. Okay, now got to pick the joints again. So mouse over this joint in the middle of that thing, and mouse over the interior surface, hold down Control, and pick this joint. Okay, it does that. It does a little check to make sure you chose the right joint, which is good because maybe it's impossible to change the joint later. I don't know. But anyway, click OK on that. Now watch this. You can just click these. Oops. So the whole thing is moving. If I click this thing and drag it over here, the whole thing moves. So I'll Control Z to get back. I need to ground this. So go to the base in the browser, right click, and select ground. Okay, now this base won't move, and I can drag this lever and I can do that. It's kind of cool. All right. Now I forgot to flip this lever around, but I can edit the joint. I can get in here on the timeline and find that joint and right click it and go edit joint. And it won't let me change the type of joint, but it'll let me do a few other things. And I forgot to click this flip button there. So it seems to me there's more than one way to flip something, but anyway, maybe I'm mistaken on that. But you got to click the flip button. All right, now we're flipped, right? And now I'll just Control Z. It undid the grounding for some reason. I might have Controlled Z through the grounding. So go back to this base in the object browser, right click and select ground. Now I can move the lever back and the base won't move. All right, and we'll just keep going in that fashion. Well, actually, before we do that, we just connected these two components with these joints that were defined in each part. What we need is a joint in between here, but there isn't one. So we have to get into the lever design. So go back to the data browser and double click lever, and it opens that up. So the idea here is that somebody else, another team member, or it could be you, but it could be somebody else, is in charge of this particular part. And then you call them up on the phone or whatever, and you say, hey, put a joint in there. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll go to Assemble Joint Origin, and over here in the dialog there's a little button you can click between two faces. Then you can click this face, orbit around, click this face. Then for the snap location you can hover over this edge, and maybe hard to see, but a joint is appearing right in between these two faces. There it is. It's a little bit more visible now. That's what we want. So then click OK. So we edited this lever project, but we need to import the changes into this top level manual joints project. So the way that works is in the levers project, you just save it. Just click Save and click OK on this dialog. And it saves, it updates the version to version 2. Now when you go back to the top level project, the joint that we just added isn't in here, and this thing in the browser, it has a little yellow marker. It's indicating that there's some changes we don't have. So you right click this in the browser, and you select Get Updates. And then what happened is that joint that we added is there now. This little joint is there now. Okay, it's kind of cool. So different people can be working on this simultaneously, and maybe you don't want to update. Maybe you want to get one part of the design a little more further along before you incorporate the updates of the subcomponents. So it's a pretty cool way to deal with version control on a multi-team project or a multi-person team. All right, another import. So we go to, what do we want now? We want this link now. Where's the link? Oh, connector they call it. So in the data manager, go to connector, click on it, right click on it. Okay, right click and then insert into current design. Pulls it in. It happens to have the same origin as the base, so it's right on top of it. So you might want to drag it up and drag it in Z and then drag it in Y just to get it out of the way. Okay, now we're going to connect these guys up. Whoa, what happened? I forgot to hit OK. One more time. Connector, insert into current design. Throws it in there. We'll drag it over in the X direction, and I'll drag it up in the Y direction, and then I'll click OK in the dialog, and there it is. Right now, let's put these together with a joint. So assemble joint. Click capture position to accept the fact that you move this thing from its insertion position. Okay, the first component will get selected when we select the snap for it, and the snap for it is this guy in the middle of this thing. It's letting me select that, so I'll click it. And then the snap point for this guy, if I turn it around a little, I might be able to get it. There, it turned blue. I can get it. I could probably also get it by mousing over this surface and holding down Control. No. Let's see if that works this way. It's not working that way, so you just have to be able to grab this guy. There it goes. Right, and it does a little flip to indicate that it's a revolution type joint, which I didn't change, but that was just the joint from the same joint type from the previous operation. Click OK. And you can check that it works by doing this kind of thing. Be careful you don't do that too much, or it'll get all whacked out and you won't be able to assemble it. But anyway, you can do these kinds of neat little things there. All right, another part, the shaft. Click that in the data manager, right click, then select insert into current design. It throws it right there, and it's off to the side because its origin is which it won't let me turn on, but in the base design you could tell if you open this shaft up by itself, you would see that the origin is offset somewhat. Anyway, click OK to accept that insertion. Then we're going to add a joint. Assemble, joint, click capture position if you get that dialog. So component 1, the snap, is what we're trying to select. If you hover over this, you'll get a joint. It'll snap to this joint position that was added when this shaft was designed. Okay, you click that. Mouse around this other side. Now the component 2 snap select is active. You can hover over this thing and it'll let you select this snap that was also added when the base was designed. I didn't change the type, did I? Let's just click anyway. See, that's the wrong kind of joint. I forgot to change the type again, so we'll cancel. We'll do it again. Assemble, joint, capture position. Okay, there's this little dialog floating around that it's so small that I miss it all the time. But you got to select the type. It's cylindrical, which means it has 2 degrees of freedom. Which means cylindrical means it slides and it rotates. So click that. Then the two insertion points. One is here, orbit around. The other one is here. Okay, it does that little slide with a turn to verify that that's the joint type you want. You click OK, and now you can grab it and slide it around if you want, and it'll turn. It's cool. All right, now we're going to connect this shaft to this connector thing. This, yeah. So assemble, joint, capture position. Click this. Let me zoom in a little bit. Click this right there. Then get over into here and hover over this inside surface and hold down Control, and then you can move the mouse over to grab this point. And it does. Okay, I think I forgot to change the type again, didn't I? I sure did. Cancel. One more time. Assemble, joint, capture position. Yeah, it was on cylindrical, so I need revolute here. Okay, keep forgetting to do that. Get in here and pick this joint, then get over here, hover over this surface, hold down Control, pick this joint, moves and just does that. Just a simple rotation, which is what I want, and click OK. And the mechanism should work now. If I move this lever, it works. Cool. So a couple more. So we want the clamp. So click on clamp in the data view, right click, insert into current design. And there it is. Click OK to accept. Okay, we're going to add a joint. So assemble, joint. The type, don't forget to change the type like I do. Go down to ball. Click this interior ball surface. Then click the ball over here. And it does a little wiggle to verify that that's a ball joint. Click OK to accept that. The last part is this grip. Insert that. Okay, now, you know what? I need to move this. Move it over here a little bit. All right, then click OK. Then assemble joint. Okay, this is a rigid joint. Change the type to rigid. Now here for component 1, snap, select. The way it works is like you don't want to snap to these different points. You just want to click on this surface. So you click on the surface, and now even though it says one snap is selected, I guess it is, because when your mouse moves away, it just takes the one of these snaps, whichever one was closest to the mouse, but that's not what you want. So you have to get in here, and you can click the center. So basically you have to click the surface first, then that'll limit the selection to a point on that surface. So it makes it easier to narrow down to the point that you want. So first you click the surface, then you get in here and click this that point. Okay, now for component 2, snap select, you got to turn this guy around, and it's letting me get this point. If I didn't get it, I might have to hold down Control. But either way, make sure you get in the correct one, the one that's in the center of this arc here, not the other side, right? Not the other arc, this arc. Click that guy, and it moves over and wiggles. All right, and click OK, and I think we are done. Yeah, you can move the lever and clamp stuff. It's way cool. So that's about it. You might want to click on this right button and look head on this. The way these things work, if you're curious, is of course that opens the clamp, but when you close it, like right about here, this link is directly in line. So this is the furthest point out on the clamp, right? It's the furthest point out. But you can keep moving it a tiny bit until it bottoms out in here. So we've just moved over center. So the front of this actually backed off a tiny bit. So in order for the clamp to loosen, then it would have to move towards the workpiece, towards the thing that you're clamping, which doesn't happen, right? If you're clamping a piece on this, that the force is pushing down on this shaft and just locking this thing in here. So this is just a over center locking mechanism is what they call it. So when you pull the lever, it actually for a little bit, it actually squeezes the workpiece more before it lets it go. So anyway, it seems to me that it needs to move a little bit more over center than just in here. I would maybe cut this surface down in here down a tiny bit. Maybe that's a future lab. Anyway, this was fun. I hope it was helpful to you. Thanks. See you next time.